world. Welcome to episode number 24 of the Jimmy Canz Show. Classic Supercard Retrospective, yet again, this time, Starrcade 87 Chi-Town Heat. All right, let's get into this card. All right, it was an NWA event promoted by Jim Crockett Promotions, held on November 26, 1987, from the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois. Attendance was only 8,000. The event was broadcast on closed circuit telecast at about 100 different venues, and it was the first NWA event broadcast on pay-per-view and later released on home video through Turner Home Entertainment. Now, as I mentioned in my Survivor Series retrospective, this was the same night as Survivor Series, and Vince power played cable providers telling them no WrestleMania 4 if they didn't carry Survivor Series. It worked, and only a handful of cable providers elected to broadcast Starrcade. So for their first foray into pay-per-view, a colossal failure. It's just major blow. Like I said, low attendance, bad pay-per-view buy rates, just commercial failure. Like I said, the wheels are slowly but surely coming off the bus here for Jim Crockett Promotions. So the action was called by Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, and the event also featured UWF matches, as Jim Crockett Promotions recently bought the UWF from Bill Watts. UWF obviously was previously known as Mid-South Promotion, and it was renamed by Watts in an attempt to shake the image of just a regional territory. Didn't go well. JCP bought them out, merged the two companies in an attempt to try and combat, Vince and the Fed's national and eventual global expansion efforts. But, it didn't work out for them. Like I said, they were already struggling, and now you're hemorrhaging money buying another promotion. It gave them some decent stars, but ultimately, didn't help save the ship. So let's get into it a little bit. There were only 7 matches on this card compared to all the previous years, Starrcade having 12 matches. So again, we also see, that they're realizing here, we can't keep shelling out the money to these performers. We got to simplify the cards. Like I said, there's a lot of different things showing the signs of the eventual demise. So we kick off the show with a 6-man tag. The team of the Living Legend, Larry Zbyszko, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, and Rick Steiner with Baby Doll took on the team of Michael P.S. Hayes, Sting, and Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with Precious. It was a really solid match to start the show, and it goes to a time limit draw. So this is not the first time we have seen JCP open the show with time limit draw matches. So pretty common occurrence, actually, for them. And it, helped showcase both, a young up-and-coming Sting. It helped get, some of these UWF acquisitions more familiar with NWA fan base. But all in all, pretty solid opener to the show. So next we get a UWF championship match. UWF champion Dr. Death Steve Williams defending against Barry Windham. This was a pretty short match here, especially for a title match. But, Williams retains in about 7 minutes with an amateur-style Oklahoma roll. But like I said, it was a short match, 7 minutes with 2 of them being Williams selling an accidental low blow. So there's really only about 5 minutes worth of action in this entire match. I don't blame the competitors, but what are you doing after a time limit draw and then a 7-minute title match? I mean, this is already shaping up to not be a stellar show. So we get a Skywalker scaffold match next. Midnight Express, now consisting of Beautiful Bobby Eaton and Sweet Stan Lane, with James E. Cornette, and Cornette had Big Bubba, with him to watch his back. They took on the team of the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Again, like I've mentioned in the previous battle of Night of the Skywalkers, retrospective, you've seen one scaffold match, you've seen them all. So we get about 10.5 minutes of just kicking and punching because there's not much you can do on the top of the scaffold. And for the second year in a row, the Midnight lose another Skywalker match after the Jungle Gym spot underneath and, crashing and burning to the canvas below. Cornette learned his lesson from the previous year, didn't go anywhere near the scaffold this year, so there's a plus. Next up, we get a unification match. NWA television champion, the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff, versus UWF television champion Terry Taylor. This was close to 20 minutes long, but it was clear that Nikita, was going to win, as there was no way Jim Crockett Promotions was going to end the heritage of their television title in favor of recently acquired UWF. So Nikita gets the W in this one and unifies the two titles, which are just now the NWA Television Championship, period. End of discussion. So next up, for the NWA World Tag Team Championships, champions representing the Horsemen, Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson with J.J. Dillon, took on the team of the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal with Precious Paul Ellering. Tons of no-selling by the Warriors for the majority of the match. Not until a chop block style shot to the knee on Hawk was there any selling by either of the Road Warriors. Kudos to Hawk. He did, sell his butt off after that. But, he eventually does get the hot tag to Animal, and Animal's clearing house, and then there's a ref bump. Didn't look accidental. I think it was supposed to come off as accidental. It just looked to me like Tully completely just plowed the ref, blasted him right out of the ring. But so the ref's down, and then Animal back body drops Arn over the top. So that was a DQ by NWA rules, but the match continues because there was no referee at that point in time. Another referee then comes out and enters the ring. Road Warriors hit a Doomsday Device for the win. But as Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. The decision was reversed to a DQ by the other official. Said, because of the toss over the top. So the Horsemen end up winning the match and retaining the titles. The Warriors take the titles anyway and head to the back. So they kind of absconded with the belts. Pretty heelish tactic for the babyface Road Warriors, but what are you going to do? Now we get our first of two consecutive cage matches. This one for the United States Championship. Champion, Total Package, Lex Luger with James J. Dillon representing the Horsemen, versus the American Dream, the son of a plumber, baby, Dusty Rhodes. So you have chiseled, zero personality or charisma Luger versus supernova of charisma Dusty. Huge contrast of styles there. Everything great. Great spot at the beginning, with Lex doing his flexing and everything. And Dusty, Mr. I've got the crowd eating out of my hand kind of thing, doing his little kind of Dusty jive strut or whatever, and dropping to a knee and doing a double bicep, and the place, going crazy for him. It was just kind of comical to see because obviously, Dusty, did not have the chiseled physique of a Luger, but it was an entertaining spot. So obviously, clubbering galore and a classic Dusty Blade job in this one. Finish came when JJ tossed a chair into Luger, and then as Luger bent over to pick it up, Dusty jumps to his feet and DDTs Luger onto the chair, and gets the 3 and the title. So winner and new United States champion, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And then our final match, cage match again for the NWA World Championship, champion Ron Garvin versus challenger Nature Boy Ric Flair with James J. Dillon. Obviously, they were representing the Horsemen. I think this was done, like I said, there was original plans, the previous year and everything, they had earmarked Magnum TA, whose career was unfortunately ended, but going into this year's Starrcade, I think, they saw they couldn't have Flair go in as champion yet again. So they basically put the title on Garvin just so Flair could go in as the challenger and not the champion. He was the challenger in the first Starrcade, but he was the champion in all the subsequent Starrcades. So, they pulled the flip here. Garvin goes in as champion, and Flair goes in as challenger. This was a very physical and stiff match. I mean, they were just potatoing and the heck out of each other in this one. Both men end up getting color, obviously. Would be the NWA cage match if it didn't happen. Flair gets the win in this one after, for lack of a better way to describe it, I guess I would call it a stun gun type of maneuver, but instead of hanging Garvin up on the rope, he kind of stun guns him right into the support post of the cage, knocking Garvin, cold basically. So your winner, and once again, NWA World Champion, Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! So, like I said, to start this thing off, commercial failure on a lot of fronts. You went out of your comfort zone of the Southeast, and that gave you only 8,000 in ticket sales. The Vince Power plays, cable providers, and you get dismal pay-per-view buy rates. It just, like I said, a huge commercial failure for him. Subpar card in an area you're really, not known in. A lot of bad decisions here. I understand wanting to branch out and everything, but I think you need to start smaller. You need to start running some house shows, and maybe a smaller type of show. Even if you want it to be a super card, a smaller type of super card, create something new, venture out and everything. To put your flagship in an area that you're really don't have a very rabid fan base and just didn't make a lot of sense. I just don't get it. Like I said, bad business decision after bad business decision, bad booking decision after bad booking decision. Just like I said, the wheels are coming off the bus, and they're coming off the bus fast. Like I said, the scaffold match was a dud, but all scaffold matches are a dud. We 2 cage matches, both involving the Horsemen. Like I said, I just don't understand some of the booking decisions and locations for events, and they just anyway. Got to give it a rating. Chi-Town Heat on my 10 belt scale. I'll give this. There was some solid wrestling in some of the matches, but 4 out of 10. So there you have it. Next up in my classic retrospectives, we will discuss another Jim Crockett promoted event, we'll discuss Bunkhouse Stampede 88. And then following that, we will discuss the initial Royal Rumble, which again, these two went head to head. But we'll go back to back Jim Crockett this time because I went back to back WWF last time. So there you have it. So please give the channel a like, a share, subscribe. Any suggestions you have for the show, I'd love to hear them. Give us a like, a share, subscribe, and I will see you when I see you.